Hello and welcome to the Business Brunch. I'm Melinda Ward, and I am here with our usual fabulous panel of Sarah Farmer and Vanessa Ashworth. We are here giving you the best in working from home support and working kind of hybrid and part at home, part away. We are your team for support and education and collaboration around how to improve yourself, how to improve your business, how to improve your outlook, and just have a great time of things in general. So if you're not going out and having a coffee with people, having lunch with people so much anymore because you're working a bit more remotely, we're here for you. And today we have an extremely special guest. We are featuring our very own Sarah Farmer, who is going to be telling us all about some really key information for people who are going back into business, perhaps after some time away, or people who are newer in management roles and haven't really had perhaps a lot of management training. You've got a lot of skills, but it's a bit different when suddenly you go from being a contributor to being a manager and having to deal with those personalities, deal with change, that sort of fun stuff. So before we get into that, please drop a line in the comments in the chat and let us know where you are, where you're dialing in from. We'd love to know. And also don't be kind of surprised if we see comments that you can't see, because we're streaming to many different platforms individually, and you will only see the comments for the stream where you are connected. So we see you, but you may not see everybody else. Before we move to the rest of the panel, also, if you think this topic is going to be great for anybody else in your network, feel free to share now so that your friends and colleagues have a few moments to connect before we get into the really important, juicy stuff. Mm-hmm. So before we crack on, let's have a bit of a round robin to see who we've got in the comments. And also, Vanessa, what have you got up to over the weekend? Anything exciting and interesting?
I have had an amazing weekend. Yes, thank you. So Friday, I was up in Glasgow because the company I work for, 2i, they have biannually, they have a big event where they get all the team together. So I was with 100 other people and there were presentations. Sorry, what was that then?
100 of your closest friends.
Absolutely, my new close friends, and lots of presentations and loads of interaction. And yeah, I've kind of worked out that I must be an extrovert because I was just, as I was kind of meeting more people and talking, my batch, I was getting giddier and giddier and giddier. by about 10 o'clock, I was kind of practically jumping up and down and bouncing. So it was, crazy day, absolutely fantastic. Got home about midnight because I kind of got the train home. I kind of got up the night before.
Yeah.
I spent all day walking around Rivington, being a park ranger in the sunshine, chatting to people, the public, and also picking litter. And then yesterday, carried on with all the activities. I'm still bouncing. I'm still. We went to an open day at the tennis club. So Alistair and I, my son, we trying tennis, badminton, squash, and pickleball, which is kind of tennis but with a kind of a paddle and a plastic ball.
Okay.
But yeah, so really active, bouncy weekend, and I'm still on a high. I'm still giddy. So I'll try and be calm.
That's so nice though. You're so happy. You found a job that I know you were loving what you were doing before, but you found a job with great people. You're having a ball and you're all joyous. It's cool.
It is. How was your weekend, Sarah?
Oh, me. So Friday night, I've had quite a weekend. Friday night, I went to see Diversity.
Oh,
yes.
High energy there.
High energy. Do you know, the first couple of minutes, it was so noisy. I haven't been into an environment like that where there's a lot of noise. I actually thought I'm going to have to leave. This is pounding through my body. But then they came on stage and I thought, no, I must very much stay. It was brilliant. Loved it. My daughter didn't want to go. She's 16, very grumpy. And then when they all came in and took their tops off, just the men and the women, and there was a lot of water involved, she really perked up. It was quite fascinating, but it was a great fun night. We booked it 2 years ago for my son's birthday, 2 years ago when he was 12. But it's finally come on and we watched it then. And then Saturday was my son's proper birthday thing, and he was out all day, and then we went out for dinner. And then yesterday I was book writing again.
Oh, good.
I had another chapter in me which I had to get out, so that's just gone down onto paper. Well, not paper, but you know.
Well
so
done.
yeah, a very interesting, diverse, and semi-intellectual weekend.
Cool.
Excellent. How about you, Melinda?
I am actually, you might notice I have a slightly different background this week from usual. This week I am broadcasting from Luxembourg, where I am visiting the boyfriend, and we went to a 1980s music night as a charity fundraiser for in town on Saturday. And yesterday we went to a birthday picnic, had beautiful weather. So I was driving along the Mosel River, which divides Germany and Luxembourg, through the wine country and all this to go to this picnic. And it was just a really, really nice day out. It's been a long time since I've been sort of properly in the countryside by a river, sitting, having nice snacks, and hanging out with lovely people. So just quite relaxing, actually. After torching about, I think my watch said about 780 calories on the dance floor on Saturday night. So
good move. Good
Fantastic.
move.
Shall we say hello to everybody who's in the? Oh, sorry. Did you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of comments rolling in. So what have we got, Vanessa?
Let's say hello to everyone. So first of all, we welcome back Danny, who says Happy Monday.
Hey, Danny.
And then Laura is coming to us from Miami, Florida. So welcome to Laura. Waggy in Egypt is back, and he wishes us a good morning.
Morning.
And Danny, what does Danny say? He has a little bit of interesting culture. Okay, all right, okay. Lucy is logging in from Surrey. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, Lucy. And
who do we have? Gary says hello. Welcome back, Gary. We do, as we said last week, we absolutely love, not fans, but our loyal
ourselves.
no, but our loyal supporters who come back and support us. It's so appreciated. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Gary also says it's great to be with us today, and it's great that you're with us, Gary. Thank you very much. And I think Waggy, he was loving it so much. He said good morning to us twice. So welcome and thank you. So do please drop a comment in, tell us where you are, say hello, and if you want to tell us what you've been up to, say that too. But I think obviously get involved in what Sarah's going to update us all with, and ask Sarah any questions through that. I think sorry, Danny's just jumped in and said maybe they're groupies. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? Groupies, that's cool.
Very good.
And Ashutosh, I know I will have pronounced that wrong, so I apologise, asks if we've got any new ideas that we've been working on. Well, Sarah is, as we know, writing the book, so loads of new ideas and development of ideas going into that. And I'm sure that what she's going to talk to us about today will be that culmination of some of those ideas that she's been working on. So we'll find out soon. And sorry, the comments are going crazy now. So groupie Gary. Deborah is here from Greenwich, and she joins us. Hello, Deborah. Thank you. And Joseph's in the States somewhere, Rochester. There we go. Yep. New York. So hello.
Right early in the morning for the Miami and Rochester.
Yeah, well done. Good show. Turning up at that time of day. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Okay. So shall we?
Yeah. So I was going to say, let me do a quick introduction, and then Sarah will give us some more details. So basically, what we want to focus on today is information that will help people be better leaders. And this is something that, even though these tips that Sarah's going to give us are really focused on getting back into work and establishing really productive and thriving teams, and lots of great stuff there, these skills and these pieces of knowledge actually apply to your whole life. So things around risk management, things around anticipating people's needs, around change. If you think about change being very difficult in a family environment as well, You can use these strategies throughout your life. So this is something that even if you think, oh, well, I'm not a people manager, maybe this doesn't relate to me, it actually does. And this is a great foundation to have for dealing with clients who are struggling as well, because that's where I use a lot of these tips already, is when I'm dealing with a client who's having a major change point from implementing products. To manage that stress is really helpful. So you don't have to be a manager to get a really great amount of value from this. So, Sarah, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you can say it better than any of us, certainly. And let's crack on.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. So for those of you who've not been on the show before, I'm Sarah Farmer. I'm an executive coach, and I currently work with leaders who are getting back into work post-redundancy. But I work with leaders across the board as well. But at the moment, it's purely about helping these people get better confidence, better resilience, and improve the skills so that they can really hit the ground running. So when they say yes, they can then go straight into having some great success that's sustained. God, that's a lot of S's, isn't it? Sustained success, put the teeth back in, which gives them much more control over what happens to them in the future. So today we're talking about a high performance culture. I was screaming so much on Friday night. I have to excuse me, my voice is going a little. So how do you get create a high performance culture? This is for all leaders. The more senior you are, the more important this becomes, actually. If you're a junior leader starting out, yes, please learn this. But if you're not doing this top down, we've got a problem. Mm-hmm. So the first question really to consider is, what is a high performance culture? What does it look like to you? And why should we care about it? So in the comments, if you are comfortable, tell me just quickly, what do you think a high performance culture consists of? What is it to you? And then I'm going to explain to you what the actual definition is, how we do it, why we should do it, and then answer any other questions that you might have. And excuse the dogs barking, someone's just banged on the door.
So while the dogs are having their moment, I would say, for me, I think a high performance culture has an aspect of people doing, like team members, not just doing stuff that they've been told because they've been told to do it. They need to understand. I think if team members understand why they're doing what they're doing and how that fits into the broader picture, I think that can help people proactively find solutions that work better.
Yeah. So I just made myself. I was going, yeah.
I was thinking. So I was thinking. I'm scribbling as I always do. So yes. So much to learn. And the team will be motivated and engaged, not just in what they're doing, but the wider team.
Yeah.
And they'll be collaborative and wanting to kind of get involved. And also they'll be kind of brave enough and empowered to come forward with new ideas.
Brilliant.
So so
this is kind of, you're describing the results of a high performing team. This is what they're able to do. So Dan said open communication, risk taking. Yeah, brilliant. Any others?
Yep.
Nothing coming in at the minute.
Oh yeah, Dan. Yeah.
So we'll give you the official definition, which is how do you get to all of that? And this is all about the whole team adhering to a consistent set of universally accepted behaviours. And this also includes the norms. It's kind of the how we work around here. And it includes the values, and the behaviours obviously are optimal for high performance. Now, this is then encouraged, supported and driven by the leaders. And then it's optimized by all the processes that sit underneath all that to make it happen.
Should we just, sorry, yes. I was going to say, we've got a few more.
Yeah, sure. They all just kind of came flying.
Yeah. So really quickly, sorry to interrupt, but go on. Danny says, an environment where everyone can bring their best self to contribute towards a safe, prosperous and purposeful role within a supportive and value-aligned organisation.
Agreed.
Zoe says, trust, respect and recognition of people's strengths. That's one, isn't it? The recognition is so important.
Yeah.
And strengths and weaknesses to allow people to make decisions and be supported.
Yes.
Danny also says, an environment where everyone can, he said that twice. Maybe we've got
it was so good. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Gary says one word, culture.
Yes.
And Paul says a balance of challenge and support with review to clear goals that are always front of mind.
Brilliant. And there's so much in there. And as I go through this, sorry, let's just see what Joseph said.
High performance culture to me is a team group that works together to make things better and more efficient. It betters themselves as well as the company. And then Gary says, not sure about the description of top driven. Okay, there you go.
All right. Well, let's come to it. It's just from where I work, I've worked top down and bottom up. When you work bottom up in what I do, you have limited impact because people are controlled by what is happening above them. So they could want to be and do better, but if they're being limited by the culture and the leaders that create that culture, then we have a real problem. So everyone is right, by the way, all of that is correct. It doesn't really matter, but we know what it feels like. We know when we're in a high performance culture, in a high performance team, and we know when we're not. The way we can tell if we're not is that there tends to be a higher absentee rate, a higher presenteeism rate, which is I'm at work, but I'm totally checked out. Lots more sickness as well. And there's a much higher level of mental health problems in organizations where the culture and the performance are just not optimal. In fact, they're probably awful. But so the better it is, the happier and healthier we are, the more fulfilled we are, the better our performance, high performance culture. But we've got to figure out how to do that. So when people are feeling more fulfilled, clearly they're going to be happier. They're enjoying it more. And we really mustn't underestimate the impact of this financially as well as emotionally, physically, and mentally. There was a study done recently, which a lady called Nadine Sinclair just posted out last week from Mind Matters, and it was done in 2021. And it showed the estimated cost of mental health absenteeism and presenteeism to European organisations was between 378, I'm just going to look at the numbers, and 469 billion each year.
Wow.
Billion. So this is just in Europe. So there's a lot more that we need to do. I know from the role that I'm in, and I see this all the time, leadership generally is not good enough. And I'm just going to be very clear about that. And it's not because people don't want to do a good job. They either don't know how, they haven't got the right support, or they're not being treated themselves the way they need to be treated, which is very relevant to this, so that they can be the top performers they want to be. So it's a big fact.
I think that top-down aspect is really important, because if you could have the best middle managers in the world, but if they are handcuffed and limited in what they can achieve because upper management is not giving them the bandwidth or budget to do what needs doing, no, everybody fails at that point, no matter how hard you might try in that middle tier to effect change. You just won't be able to get the results you should be getting.
And this is when the people that really want to do a good job and don't get browbeaten so much, they leave. They go and find somewhere else. You know, my big game in my head is that one day all leaders will have a coach, not just me, because I couldn't do everybody, but a coach or a mentor that can hold the mirror up and show them what they're doing well and where they could be doing better, because they literally are the puppeteers of the organization. What they do, how they behave, makes everything go from there. But so to be a great leader, what do you need? You need to have self-awareness. You need to be self-confident. You need to be emotionally self-controlled. You know, all emotional intelligence, leadership style stuff. And if you've got that, you can do what's coming next. And if you haven't, that's where you should be starting.
So if a leader is all that, if they are emotionally intelligent and they want to create that high performance team, where do they start?
Okay. I feel really sorry for leaders, actually, because they're often chucked into leadership positions and then stay there without being given any support or any direction. Some people have some training, which is great, but it's an ongoing moving battle because you're constantly being pulled from pillar to post. So I've tried to distill it down into this. If you know this will put you head and shoulders above everybody else if you can do it as well as know it. So the first thing is, it's all about the 5 human psychological needs. For some of you, you already know about this. This is called the SCARF model. I've talked about it before, and it underpins a lot of the work that I do. Well, all of the work that I do with all of my clients. If you know how to help someone else feel great about what they do, they will perform better and they will follow you anywhere. So how do you do that? So the SCARF model is all about 5 things. first one, funny enough, is starting with S for scarf. It's all about status. So if you can help me feel important and like I've done my job well, I will feel valued because I am valuable. So that's all about my status. So if you mess with that, I start to feel less fulfilled and my performance will drop. The next one is certainty. If I don't know what I'm doing, where we're going, why we're doing it, how I'm supposed to contribute towards it, guess what happens? I just wander around aimlessly and I'll do stuff that'll be wrong, or I'll do stuff I didn't need to do. And then I won't get the reward and recognition that I want. And then I start to feel less fulfilled. So status and certainty. Keep a note on these as well, because I'm going to do a little quiz in a minute. Very well, good, well done. The next one is about autonomy. Micromanagement kills fulfillment, absolutely kills it. So unless I am brand new and don't know what I'm doing at all, do not micromanage me, all right? This isn't just a personal plea, this is a plea for all humans. Let us have some control over what we do and how we do it. Obviously, there's an end game and there's a way that we work, but give me some flexibility within that to show my flair, to be me, to have some initiative. Because if you take that away from me, my fulfillment will drop. The next one is relatedness. And this is all about feeling part of something bigger. When we feel on the outside of something and we're not part of it, it has a negative impact on us. We feel separated. And as humans, what we really want to do is be part of this group. Yeah. You know, when you're at school, if you were part of a group and then they didn't want to be friends with you anymore, you know how it feels. Mm-hmm. Well, I did.
We all remember that.
Oh, absolutely did. Yes.
You know, we've been there and we've done it to other people as well, but it really messes with our human psychological need to be part of something. So keep us part of something. You know, make sure if you're telling people things, you tell everybody. Don't tell Melinda because she's your favorite and then forget to tell me and Vanessa, because we'll be really pissed off and that will affect what we do that day and probably for the rest of the week as well. Yeah. And fairness is all about recognition and transparency. So give us the recognition, the support and the development that we need and want. No favorites here whatsoever. Yep. Keep us in the loop, keep communicating with us.
Yeah, I saw a study once where it was actually quite fascinating. It was talking about how much of your brain is occupied if you witness or experience something that you feel is unfair, that your brain can't just let go of it, that it keeps on processing and trying to rationalize the irrational.
Yeah.
And in this experiment, they had some people doing maths problems. And they did once like a control set, like here's how long it took to do these set of math calculations. Then they had the people watching, it looked like a one-way, mirror type experience where someone was called into a HR meeting and sacked or fired for something that was completely irrelevant. Like, you're being sacked because you're a blonde, it's just something completely random. And of course, that was very unfair. And then when the people went back to do those same math problems again, they found their cognitive abilities dropped between 40 and 50%, because part of their brain was so fully engaged in figuring out this unfairness and saying, well, that couldn't have happened because it's not right. It's not fair. It doesn't make sense. So it really has a knock-on effect to the broader performance of everybody if they're seeing all this sort of bad behavior, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a good point. And we need to remember that what we do to one person or how one person is feeling doesn't just affect one person when we're at work. There's a ripple effect. So if I'm feeling low and it's impacting me, it will start to impact other people, because we can't be in a peak performance state, which is what's required to be in a high performing team. You've all got to be at your peak performance to do that. So if we are not giving people what they need more often, and let's face it, we're not perfect, we're going to get it wrong sometimes, but if we haven't filled up the emotional bank account with all of this good stuff more of the time, it's very hard to take a withdrawal and not see an impact.
Yep.
And what you're describing in that study is people are in a threat state. This whole SCARF model is all about, if you are not giving the people what they need, the 5 human psychological needs are not being given, they go into a threat state. which means they cannot perform. It affects mental health, physical health, everything. It starts to bring us down if it goes on for too long. And the opposite of that is if we are getting it, we're moving towards reward, which is a really positive, open-minded, engaged state where people have ideas, creativity comes into play, problem solving, issue resolving all becomes easier. So it's a no-brainer, but it's hard to do.
Before you go on and tell us how, let's just jump into some of those comments, because just as you were saying about mental health, Danny says, quick stat, for every £1 invested by employers in mental health, there is £5 returned in reduced absence, attrition and performance. Lucy also take note of that. Lucy says, sorry, she's late. She arrived a little bit later, but she's still on time. That's right. And she says, 100% I'm a middle manager. I relate to what you're saying. Gary says, again, bottom up or top down, both have limitations. This is very true. But it's a lot harder to try an organisation from the bottom. So then he does also add that a high performance culture is one that releases the latent potential in every member of the organisation. This includes the leader or leaders.
Absolutely.
Amechi, welcome. Very helpfully put a link to the SCARF model, just in case anyone wants further information on that. So then Waggy says, Iris, always a communication. I don't know if we've missed something.
It is always a communication. I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Lisa Foley says, leaders remembering to tell everyone everything is even more important when you are remote working. And this is it's always a big discussion, isn't it? Is how much is too much information, and what's the most efficient way of making, because people do need knowledge and they need information and they need to know where to go for everything, but doing that as efficiently is a problem I'm currently trying to grasp.
When you have a communication lead within an organisation, effectively an internal PR person, it's brilliant. But Lisa raises an amazing point, which we all need to remember, is that since we've all gone home working or we've been disconnected more, we have felt more vulnerable and in more threat than ever before. So we're already at a deficit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you were doing before was never going to be enough, because we're all lowered. Our what's the word I'm looking for? Our resistance is lowered.
Mm-hmm.
So we've all got to do more. And to your point, Vanessa, about how much do we share, and if you have something, a lot of leaders will say to me, well, I can't share that with the whole organisation. Fine. Maybe you can't, maybe it's not appropriate, but what you do is tell them you are working on something, you are considering something, and when they will know what the outcome is, that's all they need. They don't need the details.
Yeah, absolutely. That sort of commercial thing. Okay, yes, we know we have a problem with this internal system. We're talking to different vendors. We can't release any details until we make a decision. Is plenty of information. It knows that it lets people know that something is in the works, that they have been heard, and that their problems will be addressed. And especially if you can add in, hey, if anybody wants to participate in testing this or be an early adopter, let me know. Then that lets people take even more ownership, and also helps people kind of make that transition more easily, because if they are choosing to be involved, then that takes away some of that stress around change, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And so, yes, inviting people to get involved. Also, something came into head as you were talking about empathy, is if you can't tell people something because it's life and death, and let's face it, how often really is it life and death? So let's just be serious about this for a second. You know, we're dealing mostly, unless you're in some sort of hospital environment or something where people are dealing with life and death, generally we just think our jobs are really important and we can't tell people stuff. So think about your intent behind your decision first. If it is important and you cannot share it for good reason, empathize with the people you cannot share it with. Tell them you would understand how you would feel if you were not getting this information. That is all we need. Yep. Empathy, tell me when you can tell me, and then you've ticked some boxes and you're ace.
Fabulous. Okay, so just a few more comments and then you can tell us how. So Amechi says, if your emotions are running the show, it's really hard to perform at your best. Exactly. And that's what you're saying. If you're in a state of fear or, you know, or unfairness, if something's unfair, you just can't get over it.
You can't do it. No.
Danny, very usefully, thank you, shared the resource for the mental health statistic from Deloitte.
Thanks, Danny.
Tahorul, sorry, I know we'll pronounce that wrong, says this is great, so thank you.
Thank you.
Danny also adds, in a comms vacuum, people create their own stories. That is so true. And then they look for evidence to support those made up stories, this confirmation bias.
Absolutely.
And that's it. So don't let a communication void happen in your organization. Keep communicating.
Yeah,
so anyway,
that's even a bigger risk with the remote working too, because, you know, if upper management isn't hearing kind of the water cooler whispers, let's say, they can't proactively cut it off at the pass. And so if it's just things that are happening in like Teams chats or, you know, like some sort of whatever internal platform you're using, management and, you know, people just don't have the visibility and like those sort of overheard whispers and being able to ask questions and get that connectivity when they're remote. So how do you mitigate that? You can mitigate that through better, effective communication, making sure everybody knows, as Sarah had said, not even, or even if you don't know how it's going to come out, what vendor you're going to use, whatever, you don't have to. Just say, we're working on it. That's good.
I love this from Amechi. You're absolutely right. Our brains are hardwired, although they are more malleable than we choose to believe if we're willing to put the effort in as we get older. It's just harder to change the things we've chosen to believe. But we do. Every time an external event happens, it goes into our brain and we distort, delete, and generalize the information through everything we've ever experienced. From the day that we're born, from the second we could hear, so even before we're born, I would imagine. And we look for familiarity and patterns of behavior. So once we believe something, we'll look to make it happen again so that it confirms our bias. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing. So we're actually full of lies that we've told ourselves over the years, but we're digressing. But you're right, communication, even if it can just be a bit better. And remember, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for small increases in being better at this. And that has a massive impact on people.
Fabulous. So you've told us about SCARF.
Yes.
Status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, fairness. You see, I wrote
Yes.
So how can a leader make sure that they are delivering that and supporting their organization with that?
Okay, so it seems really hard, and everyone thinks leadership is the toughest job on the planet. I'd say you're probably right because it involves so many humans. However, we make it harder for ourselves if we can't lead ourselves and we can't self-manage first. Let's assume we've done that. If you haven't, then please ask for some support. There are 5 questions that employees have, including you as the leader, that you need to have answered to help you hit all of those 5 human psychological needs. The first one, before you do anything, is about the vision. We need to know, where on earth are we going? Why are we going there? If we don't know where we're going and why are we going there, how are you supposed to inspire me as a future employer, as an existing employee, as an investor, as a customer? I mean, Vanessa, you'll be all over this when you start thinking about branding and everything else, but it hits every part of the business. But as a leader, if I can't inspire my team to say, it's going to be a great day today because remember, we're doing this, it's a big thing, we're going to make this happen, it's awesome. How am I supposed to be excited?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to be excited? So if you think about the 5 human psychological needs, which one of those, the vision, does that hit? You can put your answers in the chat box, or I can just ask my co-host and put them on the spot.
Can I?
Yes, Vanessa.
I think it's relatedness. It's knowing that you're part of something big. So if there's a vision, you know that you've got a job to do to get us there.
Absolutely. And the status, but there's others as well. It's status as well, because if I feel that I'm part of something bigger, then I feel valuable.
Certainty too.
And certainty. Yeah. So boom.
It's everything.
So if you do nothing else, have a whopping, cool, inspiring vision, and make sure everybody knows about it and talk about it a lot. Okay. Relatedness. Yes, very good, Danny. You win a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you win one. Goals. The next thing is, if I don't know what I'm doing to help achieve the big picture, which are my goals, how am I supposed to do them? You need to make them realistic. Or, I'm not going to talk about SMART goals, but they've got to be realistic. They've got to be measurable. They've got to be inspirational. And I've got to be emotionally attached to them. I talk about SMARTy goals, not just SMART, because SMART's a bit dull. So let me have a say in how I do it as well. Help me plan those goals, but let me help you plan my goals. And then I'm actually involved, which hits what in the 5 human psychological needs?
Relatedness again.
Yeah, but also status and certainty, because I would say status, because if you as as a leader are asking me as a contributor where I want to go and how we can work together to get me there, then that means that you value what I have to say. And therefore that accords me the status, which makes me feel more connected to the organization.
And autonomy, because I've now got autonomy.
Yep.
It affects so much. I mean, it's brilliant. So vision. So tell me where I'm going and why we're doing this, because I want to be excited. Help me feel like I've got somewhere achieving it. So give me my goals. And then the next thing is all about giving me, how do I know how I've done? I need feedback and I need coaching. So if you're not giving feedback regularly and you don't know how to coach, you're missing a massive trick, because you may have excited me with the vision. I may know what I'm doing, but I haven't got a blinking clue how well I'm doing. And I could be doing it better.
Yeah.
Or I could be going, wow, I'm amazing. And I could be teaching other people. So missing something massive there if this isn't part of your organization or regular daily work. So what does that hit, just very quickly, because I'm aware of time, but what do you reckon?
Feedback and coaching. That's the certainty.
Yes.
Autonomy.
Yes.
Fairness.
Yeah.
All of them again.
It's almost all of them again in one way or another. I mean, status.
It's hitting buttons at different levels, but it's just the basics that we really need answered. Where am I going? What am I doing? How am I doing? And the next thing is all about reward and recognition. So how am I going to be rewarded for what I do? It's not that we come to work to be rewarded, but we don't come to work and ask not to get paid. We're there for a reason and we want to do a good job. How can I show and be given some reward when I've done more than a great job? Help me want to do more than that. And this isn't just there'll be a bonus and the whole company will have it. Make it specific to me. Know me. Understand what drives me. What if all I really wanted was an hour extra in bed on a Thursday morning? And if I did X, I could have that. It's the tiny things that matter. And they're the ones that we remember, not the pay rises, not the bonuses. They're quickly gone. They're expected. It's the small stuff. It's the personal stuff that matters.
What is your thought then, Sarah, on, I see some organizations on LinkedIn or, perhaps within internal structures doing those sort of memes, or like who's like employee of month, or we're commending Joe Blogs for doing something this past month and so forth. Are those methods effective, or are they seen more as a bit shallow? I guess. Okay. What's the view on that?
It depends on how you see it. I would love it. You might hate it. And that's got a lot to do with our difference in behavioral styles and preferences. So for an expressive like moi, put me on stage, put lights above me. I don't care whether I've done anything or not, just do it anyway. And I'll feel really special. You would probably go, no, thank you very much. I would rather have something else. Maybe it'd be a letter from the MD. Maybe it would be a nice fine bottle of wine. This is why it's got to be, you've got to do more than just the generic, if you win this, you win a bottle of bubbly. What if I don't drink?
Yeah.
Ask me what I want instead. Yeah. So I think they work and they're important, but they won't work for everybody, which is why you need to do the other stuff as well.
We've got quite a lot of comments. Do you want to carry on with this bit?
Can I just finish this very quickly and then I'll come to comments. So what was I talking about?
Rewards and recognition.
So that was about status, relatedness. You're getting the picture. It hits the human side of psychological needs. The last one is all about support. Give me the support that I need for the task that I'm working on. Don't just give me the support you think I need, because that's what I've always needed on every task. So this is all about situational leadership and about the level of support and direction someone needs on a specific task. So look at me, look at the task I'm working on, and then decide how much support or direction I need. Don't assume because I've been working for you for 10 years that I can pick up a new task and do it brilliantly without any support. I will get upset. It will mess with my feelings of greatness about myself. I still need your help. Okay.
Good. Right. I've got loads of comments, so I'll fly through them, and then you can concentrate on any of them at the end. Okay. So Joseph says, and some of these are related to things that we were talking about.
Yeah, sure.
So emotions and mental health are important, but the balance to maintain is really hard, especially in these times. Again, we were talking about working from home, weren't we, at that point? Paul says, interesting conversation. He had to leave. Really important that organisations find a way to know or measure their performance, whichever part it is that they want to measure. Waggy had said ownership. An ownership leader is needed. And Mechi asks, do organisations need to be aware of comms fatigue to a point where we switch off?
Yes.
And that's why it's really difficult, isn't it, for an organisation? Because again, people like to be communicated with in different ways and different levels. So to find the most effective way, and then also make sure that that communication is I was going to find the French then, findable, retrievable, kind of what the word is. If everyone can go and find the information they need so that they can kind of fill that up, that's really important.
But also just with this comms fatigue, this is a lot to do, I think, with people are back to back to back to back. Now we are like this. They think, well, you're free at 11. You've not been free since 11, but I'll get you at 11 o'clock. People aren't weeing, they aren't drinking, they aren't eating, they aren't stopping, they aren't thinking, they aren't calming down. It is absolutely ridiculous. Please stop. Make it mandatory. No one's allowed to do back-to-back meetings. That's me.
My whole week's back-to-back. Anyway, moving on. Joseph says, as a member of executive management, I take very seriously to keep everyone informed as best I can and to make them feel part of the bigger picture, even if that means it is not reciprocated. Communications is key. Danny says about relatedness again as one of the answers. Gary says, do you think that leaders have a realistic expectation of their team's resilience, or an unrealistic expectation that their teams will simply bounce back and flex into the new post-pandemic paradigm?
I think they have an unrealistic expectation, but it's driven by a desire for it to be so because they don't know what to do about it. It's unprecedented. And if you weren't a brilliant leader before, do you hate that word? It just popped out. But if you weren't brilliant at leading before, you're going to be even worse at leading now because you've got distance between you and your expectations. You just want everybody back in. And the impact on mental health from the last 2 to 2.5 years and people's imposter syndrome, self-limiting beliefs is astronomical. If we choose to ignore that, ignore it at your peril. Get better at leading is what I will say.
And just because it's a different skill, isn't it?
And a lot of people think, well, I'm fine to go back to the office full time. I want to. So everybody else must want to also. No, that's where that personalization comes into play. So
Waggy also says vision, values, priority, and timed reviews.
Brilliant.
Deborah says, yes, people need to feel they are valued and understood. Lucy suggests a book, a great resource for leaders, middle managers, and future leaders, humans, is The Coaching Habit by the amazing Michael Bungay Stanier.
He's brilliant. If you don't know how to coach, read that. It'll give you what you need immediately, but then learn to practice with someone and learn how to do it really well.
Very good. Gary says specific person-centered rewards are far more effective.
Yes.
Waggy says establish a climate of success. Danny says that's a great description of culture. It's the sum of small, authentic, consistent behaviors, totems, taboos, and rituals, not one-off grandiose thing like Pizza Fridays, beanbags, and installing a slide in the office. I need a slide.
Yours would all work for me, but no, you're absolutely right. It's the little things that count.
Okay, Lucy says, oh, it's like the love languages, but more like leadership languages.
Oh.
Danny says, I met Yudo. Yes, 100%. They do. Great question. Oh, which was the question that
yeah, he was talking about that we distort, delete, and generalize.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Gary says, it is the love languages. I love my work, and if my needs are met while I'm doing it, then I grow inwardly, and it has a positive effect outwardly with better performance.
And that, can I just say, that captures it exactly. If your intent as a leader is to help other people be their best, which I highly recommend that is the intent you go in with, all of this becomes a lot easier. If you're spending all your time worrying about how you look and how you're performing, you're looking at it from the wrong angle. So
Absolutely.
care more about the people, not
the
about
individuals.
Yeah.
and the individual. I like that. So Zoe says, I also think that people have thrived at leading through the pandemic who may not have done before.
Yeah, maybe so. And actually, I may sound like I'm being really negative. Remember, I'm seeing things from one side, but there are some people that have really stepped up, and impressively so.
And Amechi says, Zoe, very, very true. And equally, some may not be the right leaders post-pandemic. Again, it's a different.
We've got to go with what we've got in front of us.
Oh my God, we're ahead of time. So thank you, Sarah, for a valued presentation. And then Danny says, too long, didn't read. Happy bees make tasty honey. There you go.
Yep.
Okay. Well, listen. Hopefully, everyone's got something from that. If it all sounds too much, do a little bit of it. Start with the vision. Think about changing your intent. If you do that, you'll be so much better than many others are already. So it's the little bits that count. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And let us know if you've got any other questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you pop them into the chat box, I will go in later.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Sarah.
Who's on next week before we go?
It's Melinda. Is it Melinda? Are you back? Is it you?
Melinda's in the hot seat next week. So come and join us next week, and we'll see you all then. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Cheers.